Roman. And both of these guys are playing the Garbodor Trashalanche deck. But Simon's playing the Espeon GX deck we actually went over, whereas Martin's playing the Drampa GX deck.
Yeah, so this should be a good contrast of styles. We have two different takes on the deck, and I've seen a lot of argument over which one's better. Is Drampa better? Is Espeon better? And
well, maybe we'll see after this match.
Yeah, this will settle the score.
This one game. All right, we see an Ultra Ball from Martin, discarding 2 supporters. So his hand's most likely supporter heavy.
I just want to take a second to note the secret rare psychic energy in Simon's hand as well.
Oh, man.
He goes all out. Highest rarity possible.
And I wonder if he has all 8 psychic. That would be pretty something to see.
That would be an accomplishment.
And here we see the usual turn 1 for most of these decks. The Tapu Lele Wonder Tag getting the Bridget, just setting up your future turns like for the best.
Yeah, Bridget has seen a huge uptick in usage after the release of Tapu Lele GX. Just being able to Wonder Tag for Bridget, being able to play it on your first turn is so powerful. It just sets you up for future turns. Look at that. Already got 2 Trubbish and Drampa GX down on the board.
Is it probably like the best older card that like came out with Guardians Rising kind of thing?
Yeah. At first, when Tapu Lele was out, I was like, oh, that makes Lily very good, right? You play it on your first turn.
No one's seen Lily.
Oh, right. You just play Bridget instead.
Well, I think all of his psychic energies are the secret psychic energies. That's amazing. I love it.
It's all his deck is solid gold.
That's a very expensive deck.
We even see the Rainbow Rare Espeon GX.
Wow. And the Rainbow Road Tapu Leles. That's great. So,
Simon spares no expense.
we see the energy evolution. He's checking his deck, making sure what is prized, and he's actually seeing like, oh, well, I only have this one Espeon GX. He only plays the 2.
Yeah, he will be able to get it out with energy evolution and put on some pressure pretty early on. He cannot really do any significant damage. He can do 30 to the Tapu Lele GX. Maybe set it up for a later knockout, but we'll see if he has anything beyond this very shiny psychic energy.
Yeah, and the combination of the rarity of the Espeon GX with the psychic energy is really making it look really nice.
So a big thing in this matchup is item cards. The Trashalanche attack, of course, important for both sides, but it gets really difficult to play around because Garbodor is weak to itself. So once you get 3 item cards in your discard pile, Trashalanche knocks out your opponent's Garbodor, and it just creates awkward situations where I think early on you try to play as few items as possible, and then after a certain point you just kind of hit a threshold and you're like, all right, whatever, I'm just going to play them.
And it's actually kind of hard for Simon because his Espeon GX is also weak to Psychic, so it's something more that he has to be worried about.
Yeah, that being said, I'm sure this is a matchup both sides have played very often. This was a very popular archetype for this weekend, and this cannot be the first time they've played a mirror match of sorts. It is not purely a mirror match, but I'm sure they have seen plenty of Trashalanche already this weekend.
I kind of am questioning on why Simon chooses to play the old Secret Rare Ultra Balls over the newer ones.
Well, he has them.
Probably.
And those are probably rarer than the newer ones.
Honestly, yeah, because people open a lot of Sun and Moon.
So, yeah, very simple turn 1 for Simon, but putting on some pressure with the Psychic for 60 damage thanks to the Choice Band. And I think this is going to be a fairly slow and drawn-out game.
Yeah, but we actually see the Floatstone in Martin's hand, meaning he can choose to Berserk this turn if he wants.
Yeah, we'll see if he can get that Team Magma's secret base into play. And,
well, he has the 60 damage on Tapu Lele.
Oh, yeah, he doesn't even need it anymore. So Simon activating Berserk.
And wow, we see a Team Flare Grunt from Martin. That's something that Josue's been talking about. Like, well, why don't we see more of this card? Tapu Lele could search for any supporter, right? Well, this card is something that's amazing in the mirror match, or pseudo-mirror match, I would say.
Yeah, that's going to set Simon back big time. He would have loved to just attach Double Colorless and use Psychic. He just knock out Drampa.
Yeah.
Now he's an energy behind.
And now the Espeon is being threatened to be knocked out next turn. And remember, his other one's prized.
Yeah. And Martin hasn't really played any item cards of his own, so Trash Lanche not going to be very important. We might see a big Psybeam confusion flip coming up. I don't know.
Oh, man. See, now we would be put into a thing where it's like, does he go for the flip?
Yeah, maybe. I guess it would depend on what he has in his hand. Yep. Espeon only has 50 HP left, so I could certainly see retreating if you're in that spot and just attacking with like Tapu Lele and finishing off the Espeon. But that's a decision Martin's going to have to make. But yeah, Team Flare Grunt is huge. We saw it a lot back when the Yveltal with Garbodor was the big deck. We saw it a lot in those mirror matches where you would Y-Cyclone your energy away, and then your opponent would just Team Flare Grunt your other one. You'd be like,
that was the worst.
Oh, right.
And here we actually see just another card that is probably not as good as Bridget in most decks in Pokemon Fan Club. We actually see them play like different ones, right? One plays Bridget, one plays Pokemon Fan Club. Which do you prefer?
I think it depends on your deck. I think a lot of the time when you play Bridget, at least in my experience, you don't even need all three. So playing Fan Club gets the job done the same way most of the time. But Fan Club, it's a little less powerful, but it gives you the flexibility to grab Tapu Lele GX for the following turn or Shaman EX if you play it. So I think it's really almost a push. They're both just good.
Yeah. And as we're seeing that there, they really just can't really decide. Some people are playing even one of each.
Yeah. Yeah, I know Daniel Altavia was playing one of each in his Zoroark deck, which I like that too, especially when you're playing Team Magma's Secret Base. Since Bridget takes the Pokemon from your deck and puts them on the bench, they don't get the damage counters. So being able to Fan Club for the basics to put them in your hand and then put them down to get them damaged can actually make a difference.
That's a pretty cool interaction. So here we see the first Trash Lanche Garbodor come down. Unfortunately, I don't think Simon has any items in his discard.
0.
Yeah, so it's kind of a non-factor right now, but he's still trying to get something going, especially with this Drampa GX being confused.
Yeah, Martin's going to play the first item card, I think. Oh, he's actually...
Well, no, he Ultra Ball turn 1 and then had a discarded Rescue Stretcher with the Sycamore, so now there's like 4.
Yeah, looks like his strategy is, I don't care about Trash Lanche. It's going to happen eventually. Let's just get it over with.
Yeah, and there we see a Shaman EX, something that's kind of fallen by the wayside with Tapu Lele GX being introduced into the format.
Ooh, another Rescue Stretcher.
Wow, so there's 5 items now at least.
Yeah, Martin is just ready to go. He's saying, and there is, I think, some merit in doing this. If you're the aggressor, you kind of get the first knockout, and it forces your opponent to constantly have resources to respond. And that usually means they have to play items, right? They have to play Ultra Ball to search out their Garbodor, and eventually they're going to catch up to you in item cards.
Oh, but with this Field Blower, it puts an item in the discard, and that actually means the Garbodor with Trash Lanche does 40 damage, so he'd be 10 short.
Yeah. We do see the Shaman taking 2 damage counters from the Team Magma's Secret Base. And I think we're going to have to come to this decision. Do you use Drampa GX to attack and go for the coin flip?
Wow, yeah. Because if Simon has double colorless, the Drampa is going to get knocked out.
Yeah, and looks like Martin is not willing to take the risk, but he really doesn't have a way to knock out Espeon if he doesn't go for it.
And you don't kind of want to just sacrifice that Garbodor to the Espeon either, or even Simon's own Garbodor.
Yeah. I mean, you could retreat to like Tapu Lele GX and just pass, but I don't know, this is what we see a lot. Players just don't like going for that confusion flip. It feels so bad when you flip tails, but sometimes it's just better to risk it.
And there we see the Trash Lanche
Wow.
falling just short of knocking out the Espeon GX. And this is where Simon's beautiful play has come in. Like, that only just the one choice, man. Even if he attached another tool, he would have been knocked out this turn.
Yeah, and the Psybeam paying dividends. We haven't seen special conditions play a huge role in the standard format for a while.
Since, like, Hypnotoxic Laser.
Yeah, we've had that. We had the old Excelgor for a while, but
yeah.
It's been a while since special conditions have been super relevant, but confusion, and that is usually the least relevant of all of them. confusion. Usually not very good. You can always just retreat out of it, but creating some awkward situations right here.
And we see he does have the double colorless, but I don't think he wants to commit more resources to this Espeon GX because it will be knocked out.
Yeah, does he just Psybeam again? Yeah, this is going to be a constant struggle for Simon. I think at this point he should be okay with starting to play item cards. His opponent has discarded so many items that now his Trash Avalanche is going to be great. As long as he can set up all of his Trubbish, get them into Garbodor, get the Psychic Energy for them. Like, he's pretty much getting knockouts every time he attacks with Trash Avalanche. So
yeah,
playing a few items here should be fine.
Unfortunately for Simon, he does have the 2 Trubbish prized also.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
So these are his only 2 Trubbish he's going to be able to work with until he starts taking these prizes. And with this Wonder Tag, see what's he get.
He was eyeing up Professor Kukui, I think. But
maybe Lysander. Lysander would be pretty good.
Yeah, he can go after that Drampa GX, knock out with Psychic. I like that play a lot. Maybe dig some of those Trubbish out of your prizes.
Yeah, or even the other Espeon.
So we do see that full art Lysander targeting down Drampa GX is great play so far from Simon. Still somehow only used 1 item card.
And it's not even in the discard by his fault.
Yeah. Oh, no, he's going to play another one.
Oh, no. Well, I think getting the Flareon out of your hand is probably more important because that Flareon's useless in this matchup.
Yeah, and I think he wants to get a Garbodor out in case Martin were to play an N here after he takes his 2 prizes.
That is true, yeah.
He just wants to have something on board ready to go so he doesn't have to rely on drawing them after the N. And he's also got 4 gold double colorless energy. Everything is shiny.
Nice. Honestly, love this gold double colorless like out of like almost every secret rare I've seen.
It's a thing of beauty.
Yeah. All right, there is the Psychic for the knockout on the Drampa GX.
Oh, he misses the 2 Trubbish. They're still in the prize cards.
He does get a Garbodor though. It's something, but he even missed the Espeon too.
Yeah. And now Martin can take this a lot of different ways. I was wondering if he had any way to like spread damage, which would have explained the Trash Avalanche last turn being 10 damage short. Like if you have Oricorio, maybe you can pick up the pieces later, like the Tapu Koko promo. But
yeah, we actually see is none of those.
Nothing, and it looks like he's going to go for Sky Return instead, which is okay. But it almost
we haven't seen recently because there's less Shaman.
Yeah, but it also feels like then that Trash Avalanche was just a waste. If you could have... I mean, I guess his Garbodor didn't get knocked out, so it didn't really matter. But, I mean, if you just have a choice band, this Sky Return would have been a knockout anyway.
Yeah, and one thing Sky Return does help with is get rid of that liability of Shaman on the bench.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of players take Shaman EX out of their decks just because they don't want it to be that 2-prize liability. We've seen a big shift in thinking. Personally, I still think Shaman is great, and most decks probably should be playing it. It just offers you something that no other card can really offer. But a lot of players disagreeing. Simon, for example, 3 Tapu Lele GX, but no Shaman.
Yeah, the fact that you can like play a Lysander, for example, and then still draw into an energy really comes up big in some games.
Yeah, I think Shaman EX is most important at the end of a game when your opponent tries to N you down to a low hand size. And it just makes it so that when you draw Ultra Ball, you can like get Shaman, draw 6, and then like get an energy and a Lysander in the same turn. Yeah. It just opens up so many plays.
All right, and here we're going to see the Sky Return taking the knockout on Espeon GX, putting both players to 4 prizes.
Yeah, pretty even game so far. But I think I would favor Simon in this situation. He, there are just so many item cards in Martin's discard pile. I got to think a Trash Avalanche is doing at least 100 damage at this point. And as long as Simon can string together a bunch of those Garbodor and keep using Trash Avalanche, he should be ahead in this game. I think he's going to count out the items right here.
Yeah, thankfully. Yeah, it looks like 7? 8?
So yeah, a Garbodor Psychic Energy and a Choice Band.
Yeah, and the good part is he actually drew teammates for his turn.
Another full art card.
Yeah.
Yeah, teammates is something we haven't seen a ton of in these style of decks. I think the first player I saw use this was in Madison with Jay Lesage. Who's like, yeah, why wouldn't I play this card in my deck? It's just great. Like Vespiquen decks play it because you just get to search for Vespiquen and double colorless every time one gets knocked out. Why wouldn't you just do that for Garboder too? You just grab the evolution and the psychic energy and you get to keep attacking every turn.
Well, it's really good in these kind of matchups where it's really a back and forth, especially when you open the floodgates and items get discarded everywhere and Trash Lanch after Trash Lanch come. It's like, well, yeah, teammates is pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, your teammates here, you can use Tapu Lele GX Wonder Tag to find teammates, and then after the first one goes to the discard pile, every Versus Seeker you draw can be another teammates when your next Pokemon gets knocked out. Just offers you so much every turn. So much power being able to search for exactly what you need.
Yeah, and it actually looks like he got the Garboder and a Choice Band, being able to do a lot more damage now and being able to knock out the Tapu Lele in one hit.
Yeah, Simon's going to go down to 2 prize cards right away. And that's just 1 GX knockout away from winning this match.
And he grabbed both of the Trebushes from the prizes. And he's really looking to be in control of this game right now, especially since he still hasn't played another item in the discard.
Yeah, there is a Psychic Energy on Martin's Garboder, so if he has a double colorless, he can actually go for the Acid Spray.
That's something we don't see very often.
Yeah, sometimes you got to get desperate.
Got to do what you got to do to take the knockout.
Yeah, so if Martin can play an N this turn and get the double colorless and Acid Spray for the knockout, leave Simon with an awkward 2 cards. Simon doesn't really have anything on board ready to go. Perhaps he'll just draw a poor hand and not be able to recover from that.
Yeah, it's definitely, again, we're seeing N become a huge factor late in these games. He's like, yeah, I only got 1.
Martin's like, how many items you got? Simon's 1.
And there we see the double colorless.
Can only imagine Martin, after seeing 1, just kind of going, gulp.
Okay. Are you sure you play items in your deck? Like,
this has been an interesting display. I think both players approaching this matchup very differently. Martin not really caring about the item cards, not really caring that Trash Lanch is on the table for Simon, where Simon has been extremely conscious of not playing item cards when he doesn't have to. Specifically didn't play an Ultra Ball earlier in the game to search out another Pokemon just because he didn't want to give Martin more damage for Trash Lanch. And we'll see if that comes back to bite him here, because this is where it can. Having so many dead cards in your deck late in the game against N, if he just draws like a couple Choice Bands or some other cards he doesn't really want to draw
like
here.
The Flareon he kept in his hand.
Yeah, there's just so much stuff like Field Blower or a Super Rod or something. You could draw those and, well, then you don't have any cards to work with that impact the board.
Thankfully, it is ended too, though. So if he draws an Ultra Ball, which he hasn't played any yet, it will be live getting a Tapu Lele GX.
Yeah, so,
I think it's double Sycamore.
Yeah, or you can just draw Sycamore. That works.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Sometimes it's not bad to be Simon Narode. So yeah, I think we're going to see the rare Acid Spray. It always feels good when you use that attack, because it feels like most of the time there's only one attack on Garboder, and then sometimes you can just be like, hey, I got Acid Spray too.
Usually you see the Acid Spray from the Trubbish instead.
Yeah.
Kind of grew up into a big boy Acid Spray.
Yeah. I have used Acid Spray to knock out Frogadier before. Feels good.
Oh, man. That's great.
It's only got 70 HP.
All right. Simon draws the Garboder. Seems to get everything needs what? Lysand, or no, energy at least, and maybe a Floatstone.
Yeah, I think his biggest asset is having time, though. Although this is weird. I don't think his Tapu Lele GX can possibly be knocked out unless he plays like 7 item cards this turn. But he is kind of on a clock. Martin can knock out everything not named Tapu Lele GX and start taking prizes. And if Like he has a Lysander next turn. If Simon doesn't get the knockout here, it could be a very awkward position for Simon as he's just unable to put up any offense.
Yeah, and we do see he does get the float stone, but I don't know if I saw a psychic energy in Simon's hand. Oh, we do.
It was just too bright for you to see.
Yeah, too bright. Like, they all blend together eventually. So Simon got everything he wanted that turn.
Yeah, and didn't discard any more items.
Yeah, so there's only 2 items in the discard for Simon thanks to the choice band. Or was there even a choice band on the Garb? The previous one.
I don't know. The only awkward thing for him here is he did put 2 tools in play.
Oh, that is true.
So if Martin plays a field blower, he can then trash Lanch for exactly enough damage. Oh, wait, no, you're right. There was a choice band. So I think there's 2 items in his discard now. But still, if Martin has field blower, we could see a knockout here. That's really the only way for him to get a knockout on this active. Otherwise, I think Simon can just trash Lanch everything on Martin's side for an easy last knockout.
Unfortunately, he's looking through his discard off camera, so he can't really check for sure. It'd probably, like, blind the camera, though, I think. All right, the energy does go down on the Garbodor. Shaman set up, drawing 4 cards, 5 cards, I believe.
So he needs to find field blower here. He does have 2 of them in his deck. See if he can find one.
No, just draws a bunch of energy and a choice band. Not really what you're looking for.
Yeah, I think he wanted to not only play field blower, but also play N this turn. And he might be in a weird position if he doesn't have the field blower. He could play the N, but then he only gets 3 cards. That's only 3 chances to find the field blower. If he had a Sycamore, that would be an interesting decision. Which one do you go for?
Yeah, and we saw him use a field blower early on. So he really only has access to the 1 left.
Yeah. So without that, I don't think Simon can really lose the game. He's just going to be able to announce Trash Lanch next turn and win. Right now, there's not enough items in the discard for Martin to use Trash Lanch for the knockout. So I think it comes down to this. Does Martin draw Field Blower off of 3 cards?
It's definitely going to be tense. And even then, like, he's still not really in a good position. Like, sure, Simon needs to not draw anything for these 2 cards, and then he needs to keep continuing. But, like, he's still on the back foot. Still be put down to 2 prizes to Simon's 1.
Yeah, but he's going to do everything he can to give himself a chance in this game.
All right,
Does
3 cards.
Draw Field Blower. What? Third
the
card?
Last card, Field Blower.
Uh-oh.
Discarding both of Simon's tools that will allow Martin's Garbodor to take the knockout on Simon's own Garbodor.
What a draw off that end to 3. The 3rd card. Now Simon actually could be in some trouble. He has no Float Stone, so he can't promote Tapu Lele GX as like the pivot Pokemon. He's down to 1 card. Garbotoxin is now on for Martin, too. So if he drew a Tapu Lele GX, that's not a live draw.
That is insane.
Simon could be in a lot of trouble here. He's only got 1 card. We're about to see a huge comeback from Martin. It looked like he was up against the ropes, and he certainly was, but that Field Blower changed the course of this game.
And he actually drew, I think, the Tapu Lele. It might be an Espeon, but either way, they're both useless right now.
Oh, man. Has Martin taken control?
Well, I guess if it was Espeon, it'd be better.
Sure. Yeah, put the game on a Psybeam coin flip.
Yeah.
Yeah, Martin is now pretty firmly in control here, I think. Looks like Simon does have some card he can play. I'm not really sure what it is.
Well, there's the Psychic Energy he has.
Yeah, Energy Evolution is shut off, so he can't go that route. Yeah, Espeon and Psychic.
Oh, let's do it. Let's see it.
Are you feeling lucky, Simon?
Oh, I'm feeling lucky because I get to see it.
You could also go for the quick draw on Eevee. If you flip heads, you get to draw a card. That is an option.
Well, so there's 8 items in the discard, right? Unless, because if there's...
Oh, he's going for the quick draw.
He gets it?
Heads! He gets to draw a card.
Are you sure it was Espeon in his hand?
I'm pretty sure. I just think he didn't want to go for it. There's a lot of ways for that to backfire.
Oh, choice band, yeah.
It would literally put the game on a coin flip, but I think
the one card he drew was a Professor Sycamore. What is this game?
That's amazing. EV quick draw into your Sycamore.
I mean, that's the secret tech, right? Like, people don't expect it. They don't see it coming, and that's why it's better.
Wow. Yeah, I was wondering if it was just the right play to put the game on a coin flip.
Well, essentially, he did, right?
Kind of, but even when you quick draw, like you could just draw another psychic energy or something, like something worthless. Like putting the game on an actual coin flip might have been your best odds of winning there. But again, it's so scary to do that for either player to say this game will be decided by a coin flip.
Yeah, so
most players
on the line.
Most players are like, is there any way I can avoid this being put on a coin flip?
I don't know about bringing up the Tapu Lele, though.
Oh, he drew Professor Kukui.
Oh, Kukui.
Not
the wrong
Sycamore.
Professor.
Oh, no. He draws Garbodor.
Wow. If he would have brought up the Trubbish, that would have been game over.
Oh, no.
How heartbreaking.
Well, there must not be enough items in Martin's discard pile.
No, there's.
Or in Simon's discard pile to get his Tapu Lele knocked out. Otherwise, I don't understand why he would promote Tapu Lele GX here. So it's got to be a little short, I would think.
Oh, that's so disappointing for Simon fans. But honestly, you couldn't, you had to play it safe there because, I'm not going to draw Psychic Energy, Professor Alpha, and then Garbodor from Professor Kukui.
Yeah, I mean, if there's enough items in your discard, I can't believe that there's enough in there to knock out Tapu Lele GX because otherwise, Simon, there's no downside to promoting Trubbish. Like, you go for the win there. So I have to guess that there's just not enough items, even with the choice band, to knock out Tapu Lele GX. Otherwise, that play makes no sense. And, I mean, the game is still going. So.
Yeah. Thankfully for Simon, Martin did not have an access to Lysander.
Yeah. And now I think Simon might still be winning this game. The active has a choice band attached to it, so
yeah, there's no way for Martin to hide behind a big GX Pokemon because there's so many items in his discard pile.
Yeah, this is where you'd love to have something like Escape Rope to get you that last prize. That's another card we've seen much less of after Trash Lanch has been around. And
I thought we were going to see the Acid Spray to put it on a coin flip. I don't know.
I actually think Acid Spray would have been maybe better. It's hard to tell. I mean, if you flip tails, you just lose immediately.
Well, I guess he doesn't know that Simon had a Psychic. But there we go. The Psychic Energy, the Retreat, the Trashalanche. Simon takes game one.
So many weird twists and turns in that game. It looked like Simon was well ahead for the entirety of that match, and then all of a sudden...
And the Field Blower.
Yeah, the Field Blower off the end of 3. Martin pulling the Miracle card off of the end, and still wasn't enough. Simon just drew enough cards at the end. MVP, EV Quick Draw.
Yeah, I would definitely say so. And we see the fact that since you're conserving your resources by not playing all these items, he still had a lot of resources left at the end of the game to draw into, even off just the Kukui for 2 cards.
Yeah, one thing I noticed in that game is that Martin was very risk-averse. He was doing whatever he could to not have to flip a coin in every situation. Early on in the game, he didn't go for the coin flip for the Drampa GX attack. There at the end, didn't want to go for the Acid Spray. It can be very intimidating when you're in those situations to look at it like, if I flip tails, I'm just done. But you have to look at the other side of the coin, too. What happens if I flip heads? And sometimes your best option overall is to take the 50-50 chance and just accept that sometimes it's out of your control and you're going to have a bad outcome. But if it gives you a better percentage chance to win overall, you should go for it.
Yeah, definitely. And some of the really great players know how to decide between that, too.
Yeah.
And we actually see them try to take those risks. And then, of course, you have people like me where you take those risks and you just fail. And that's why I'm behind here instead of actually playing.
Yeah, sometimes risks do not pay off. That's why they're called risks, I guess. Prize cards, not super relevant for either player, although 2 stadium cards for Martin. We saw 1 Espeon GX for Simon once again, but nothing. It's not the old 3 Rowlet prized like we saw with John Keller and Madison.
Even last round, it was Grafton prizing like a Frogadier every game kind of thing.
Yeah. We did have John Kettler on the main stage for the first round today, and in every single game he prized Rowlet. So keeping the meme alive.
Yeah. All right, we see an N from Martin after attaching a Floatstone to the Shaman. Kind of unfortunate you have all these basics and you start the 1 Shaman in your deck.
Yeah, never a good
feeling. For sure the worst starter. Because even Tapu Lele is like, yeah, I get double colorless attack.
Yeah, it's absolutely the worst starting Pokemon in your deck. And you don't even get to use setup. It feels bad when you start with Shaman for sure. I think Hoopa EX was the worst starter, but Shaman is right there with it.
And we see his hand from the end's actually pretty good. Has the Drampa GX with an energy and a supporter for next turn. And even though Simon's hand of Tapu Lele and some energies got end away, he gets the Pokemon Fan Club without even having to search for it.
Yeah. My big question is, will Simon have a similar game to the first game where he can set up without playing item cards? You know, you can try your hardest to conserve your resources and not have to play item cards, but sometimes you're just forced into it. In the first game, Simon had the luxury of not having to play those item cards, and will that be the case in game number 2?
Yeah, and we saw it with Martin where it's like, oh, well, I had an Ultra Ball for the Tapu Lele. I had to play, like, another Ultra Ball later on, but I had to discard some items with the Ultra Ball because I don't want to discard, like, the Sycamore in my hand kind of thing.
Yeah. A lot of it just comes down to the order that you see your cards. Makes every game interesting and play out a little bit differently. But Simon, once again, getting the Pokemon Fan Club early on. That's exactly what he wants to start with. I think the only other thing he'll want this turn is an energy.
Yeah, definitely. And maybe even like a Floatstone, Espeon, Psybeam, but you kind of put it at risk to the Drampa GX next turn.
It's funny how much of a shift we've seen in the past couple months. A lot of decks in the past few months have been all about like the explosive turn 1 start, where a great start was like get Darkrai, double Max Elixir, or like Volcanion, get like 2 Max Elixir energy and like turn 1 attack for a bunch of damage, or the old Mega Rayquaza Emerald Break for a bunch. These days, a good turn 1 is getting your basics down and playing an energy.
Yeah, and we're going back to the glory days of Pokemon, I say. Like, I miss actually, like, using starter Pokemon.
Yeah.
And, like, with Alolan Vulpix now and cards like Bridget and all that stuff, it makes me feel happy, honestly.
Yeah, it's nice to see. A lot of people are not a big fan of the Trash Lanche attack. It is obviously very powerful, but I think it's done a lot of great things. It has really taken the game a step slower.
Enough,
yeah. Where we're starting to see Stage 2 Pokemon start to reemerge as viable options. It's a fun place to be.
I had a few friends in Madison say, yeah, my opponents actually had to read Rare Candy. Card that's been around, like, basically forever.
Yeah, there was some fun stat where, like, every year at the World Championships, one of the Masters finalists had Rare Candy in their deck up till like 2012.
Yeah, Darkrai ruined it all.
Yeah, and then never seen again.
So we actually see Martin not get the double colorless to take a knockout on a Trubbish, but it also might be a blessing because an Espeon might come out and just take a knockout on the Drampa.
We about to see our first GX attack of the round.
Oh, yeah. Big wheel. Spinning that wheel.
Woo. 10 cards. Let's go.
I talked about this yesterday, but it was like some of the GX attacks where they set up, they really just read, yeah, my opponent's going to end me.
I guess. For the most part, yeah. Big wheel and also Algorithm GX both kind of read that way.
Even Hollow Hunt, too.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like funny how these interactions go because it's like, yeah, I have 10 cards in my hand. If you don't end me, I'm going to get set up.
Yeah.
And there we see the energy on the EV, energy evolution triggering. Espeon GX will come down, but it won't be able to take the one-hit knockout on the Drampa GX.
Yeah, another beautiful rainbow Espeon GX with the gold double colorless energy and the gold psychic energy.
Honestly, it might be too much.
Beautiful thing to see, yeah. If you're watching at home, please shield your eyes a little bit. It's very bright. Yeah. And as predicted, here is the N. No 10 cards for you, Martin. Sorry.
I think I was testing one day, and I did big wheel, but I only drew 6 because I knew it was coming.
And so at this point, I think we're going to see Espeon GX coming out and probably using Psychic here for, looks like it could be 120. He could go for a Divide GX, but I don't think it's really worth it. It would really only be like knocking out a Trubbish. So we'll probably just see an attack for 120, setting up for a future knockout.
Yeah, Espeon's very good at doing that. And
well, we could see a Psybeam also.
Yeah, Psybeam might be good, especially because you want to protect the double colorless on Espeon GX.
Oh, but he is going for the Divide. Huh.
2 GX attacks in a row.
All right.
This one can't be abolished away by N.
Yeah, we see 2 different styles of GX attacks here. One using Big Wheel to draw more cards, and the other to go on offense, putting 10 damage counters. However, Simon sees fit, and that's pretty important. It sets up for a future knockout on Drampa GX, and you're seeing kind of the contrast of these 2 different decks, both using Trash Lanch, but each using a different sidekick to give different options.
So honestly, we could have seen a play here where Martin Wonder Tags for the Team Flare Grunt, got rid of the Psychic Energy, and then Righteous Edge the double colorless way. He might just go for the Berserk because he'll do a lot more damage instead, but it's kind of a cute play he could have done.
Yeah, I think I like that play. I was checking to see if he plays Professor Kukui, because then you can go Choice Band Kukui and actually hit for 200 for a clean knockout, but looks like Martin not opting to play Professor Kukui. That's been
a lot of people have actually been cutting it for this tournament.
Yeah, it's I think it's a very hit or miss card. I mean, when it works, it does wonders. But
I mean, it worked for Simon, so
yeah.
But really, anything that how could have worked for Simon?
Yeah. Yesterday, one of my friends was telling me that he was in Game 3 of his series, and he thought it was going to go to a tie. His opponent started with a Trubbish, played a Psychic on it, and passed. And he played on Tapu Lele, grabbed Kukui, did the extra 20, got double colorless on Tapu Lele, and Energy Drive for 80 on the first turn.
That's great.
And his opponent was like, "Why? Oh, no, you're not supposed to play that." And could just steal you some games sometimes.
All right, there we see an N to 6 for Martin, and only N to 5 for Simon. We do see Field Blower. All right, so no more itemless discard for Simon.
Yeah, and now I'm interested to see what attack Martin goes for. Will we see Berserk for 150, setting up an easier knockout on the next turn, or the Righteous Edge to discard the double colorless energy from Espeon?
Yeah, it's really,
I could see either one.
It's really how he feels. Like, if he does Berserk, he's like, well, I know I'm going to get knocked out next turn, so I'm just going to do this. But if he feels like Simon doesn't have access to another double colorless, Righteous Edge might be the play. There's the Ultra Ball, looking like he's eyeing up another Trubbish. Again, that's kind of what you want to get. You want to get multiple Trubbish in play, and since he didn't bridge it for the first turn, he kind of doesn't have that right now.
Yeah, Martin was looking at Garbotoxin. Garbotoxin plus N is a great way to kind of stunt your opponent's options, but I think he realized if he went for that play, he didn't leave himself with any attacking options on the following turn, because Drampa GX is very likely to be knocked out, and then he just wouldn't really have anything to follow up with.
But there we see the Berserk dealing 150 damage thanks to the secret Magma base.
And here we go. Espeon GX going to get knocked out in 2 attacks, but it's going to get its damage in.
Simon actually drew another double colorless, so it is the right play.
Yeah, this Espeon, a lot of people felt like initially it was the worst version of the deck because it's like, why would you play that when Trash Lance is so popular? It's weak to Psychic. It's a terrible option. You just get knocked out for 2 prizes very easily. But we're seeing it pull its weight here with the Divide GX getting the first knockout. Now the Psychic getting the second knockout. This thing has taken 3 prizes on its own.
Yeah, and it will finally go down if Martin has the energy for Trash Lance. It does seem he has Verseeker for the end, though, to put Simon down to 3. And again, this is where it's like, it's still a setup card, but now it's starting to disrupt your opponent.
Yeah, and this is where we're going to see the final stretch of this game. It's going to turn into a race. Both players are going to be racing to get those 6 prize cards first. Martin going to do everything he can to disrupt Simon, disrupt with N, taking away his hand pretty much every turn and forcing him to reshuffle into lower and lower amounts of cards, whereas Martin needs to put on the pressure and start taking knockouts right now.
And looking at the 6 cards Martin draws, he does get the Psychic Energy. He will be able to take the knockout on the Espeon this turn.
Once again, he has an Ultra Ball, and I think he's going to be faced with the same spot as last turn. Does he grab another Trubbish? Does he grab Garbotoxin? And I think you still have to grab Trubbish. But looks like Martin disagrees. He's going right for the Garbotoxin.
Yeah, well, it could be the better play here just because the Eevee doesn't have access to the Energy Evolution now.
Yeah.
And ending Simon down to 3, maybe he won't draw the Espeon, and he's left without an attacker, really.
Yeah, it's certainly a risk, but at this point in the game, Martin might feel like he needs to take risks to get back into this game.
Finally, taking risks.
The Trash Lance for 2 prizes. Now a lot of it's going to come down to what Simon draws off this N.
And it actually also shuts off the Tapu Lele out for Simon, which we see in his hand. His hand is nothing except for Tapu Lele.
Well, he's got a big old field blower.
Oh, wow. I did not see that.
So I think Simon's going to have a pretty nice turn here. Getting rid of 2 tool cards with a field blower, being able to Wonder Tag. I think
Sycamore most likely, right?
Yeah. I can see that. Or Teammates, maybe. That's another option.
Oh, yeah, Teammates. And then he has the Psychic Energy in hand.
Yeah, and now he can use Energy Evolution again.
Yep. Wow, that field blower is great.
Yeah. Feels even better when it's made out of solid gold.
You could say that about anything, really. And I'm sure Simon feels that way.
Oh, definitely. So it looks like Simon is still in control here. I got to think we'll see the Espeon GX attack because Martin doesn't really have any big attackers lined up. Right? He evolved his only Trubbish. He doesn't have a Trash Lance follow-up ready after this active goes down. The best he can do is like Energy Drive or Sky Return.
Yeah, and there's still only 3 items in Simon's discard, so even with a Choice Band, won't be enough to knock out the Espeon GX in 1 hit.
There we do see Teammates, the supporter card of choice, off the Wonder Tag, grabbing 2 cards. I'm going to guess like a Garbodor and then a Sycamore for the following turn. Might not be bad.
Yeah, that'd be pretty good.
Get you one card you need this turn, and then 1 card you need for a future turn.
Yeah, I actually ran into one of the foreign players here, and they had an Italian teammates, and it was senior and junior.
Yeah.
And I thought that was just so cool.
Yeah, that's the original Japanese name is like junior, senior. A lot of the other languages have that card name, but in English, they are teammates.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad.
They help the team.
So there we see the Energy Evolution for the Espeon GX. And Simon's definitely in the driver's seat right now.
Yeah, definitely. The only downside to Simon's position is that Psychic kind of caps out at 60 damage. So even though he's not in any danger, he can't really threaten any of Martin's Pokemon with a knockout, at least now with Espeon. He can Trash Lance them for a knockout, but the only thing Psychic can knock out is the active Garbodor with Garbotoxin.
Yeah, so it's unfortunate here. Martin actually drew the Field Blower, so if he had access to another Trubbish to evolve into a Trash Lance Garbodor, he would be knocking out this Espeon with a Choice Band. And that's a lot to say, but like he doesn't even have access to that right now.
Yeah, I have to say, Simon has played this matchup beautifully. He has been extremely conservative with his resources. He has been intelligent about when he is playing item cards, when he doesn't have to, sequencing his attackers, even where to put the damage counters with Divide GX. It's been pretty much a flawless game from him. Really the whole series.
If you want to learn how to play the mirror match, you definitely want to go back to this game and look how Simon's playing.
Yeah. Of course, he was helped out a little bit by some fortunate opening hands.
Yeah.
But, hey, when you get him, you take him. Take advantage of it. I mean, a big skill is being able to take fortunate situations and not squander them.
All right, there we see the rescue stretcher getting back Drampa GX, which is really kind of the difference maker that we really haven't seen in this match from Martin. Like, we've seen it early, but just a Psychic and a Choice Band's able to knock it out really quickly.
Yeah, I think Martin would want to play N here, but I don't know if he has access to one. The combination of N and Righteous Edge, or like you were mentioning earlier, Team Flare Grunt and Righteous Edge could be very disruptive here. But it just feels like Simon is so far ahead in this game. As long as he can draw like a Psychic Energy at some point, it feels like he's just in command.
And thankfully for Simon, he did Teammates last turn, so he has exactly what he wants in his hand.
Yep, and unfortunately for Martin, he has a whole lot of nothing. He's got a Hex Maniac, which really doesn't do anything. And just a couple
really
energy.
You'll shut off your own Garbotoxin. That's what it does.
Yeah.
And there we see a Versus Seeker from Simon off the top. So he didn't even need the Sycamore that he searched for Teammates.
Yeah, now he's actually going to change his plan. Say, hey, how many item cards you got in there? Oh, 37? Okay, I'll Lysander of Shaman and knock it out. And yeah, I think that's going to be it.
Yeah, we even just knocked out the Trampa GX.
Never mind.
There was more than 37, apparently. Like, maybe there was actually 37. And there we have it. Simon with the 2-0 victory.
Yeah, that was a very impressive display. I mean, you can see just why he is one of the top players in the